Hello, hello. Welcome to the last edition in our series on commercial real estate underwriting. I am Stuart Heath, the CEO and founder of Harvard Grace Capital, and I hope that you've enjoyed this series on what we do every day, which is underwriting deals. We underwrite about 200 deals a year in hopes that we can close on 3 or 4 of them. It's a lot of work. We do enjoy the work. It's fascinating stuff. And when we pass on a deal, we always like to see what happens to it. Many times it comes back around to us at a value that we think it's worth. Other times we see other people gobble them up for something we would have never dreamed of paying. Anyway, the last episode here, the last step in it, what is the exit value we should expect when we buy a piece of property? Don't ever get into one if you don't know how you're going to get out. It's true of almost any business. It's true if you're buying a stock or a bond or even a CD, even though the exit's usually not such a mystery. But you know, like most of us, if you buy a stock, you have an idea of where it's going to go, or maybe you don't. Maybe just, oh, so-and-so told me I should buy this, so you went and bought it. You don't have any idea what direction it's going to go. But as professional investors, we can't do that. We have to have an idea as to the direction of the market. And I want to caution all passive investors here, because this is an area where other sponsors will play a lot of games of value with you. And what you want to look at for is the going in cap rate. Just say it's 7%. You're going to buy a piece of property at a cap rate of 7%, which means when you buy it at that price, you expect to make a 7% unlevered, without debt return, going forward. That can go up or down over the years, but that's what you're saying. I expect to make 7%. Liken it to a bond that you're buying that's a 7% bond when you buy it at face value. The trick is, if they are estimating, projecting that your exit value will be at 6.5% cap rate or 6 cap, you gotta make them explain that. It might be right. Last time I talked about an office building that we just bought, where the doctor wanted X price. That price turned out to be a 9 cap. That building's worth a 7.5 cap all day long. And so I can explain that. I've got market data around me and so when we did that was the going in cap rate of what it should have been. We just happened to be buying it for a much better price. But what that does is when you're buying at 1 cap rate and selling at a much higher cap rate, that's goosing the projected returns at the end. So I'll say all that to say, just as you're going in and you're doing your market value analysis on the front end, and I said that was a little bit more art than science, here's where we move from art into absolute prophecy, is what's the value going to be in 5 years, in 7 years. You can learn a lot from how the market has behaved over the history, but as you've no doubt heard many times, historical results have no bearing on the future. We all hear that in any kind of investing type presentation. But that's where you got to get to know the market, and you're just going to make an estimate, and you might be planning on doing some things to the property that you think will make it stand out from its competitors in the market, and therefore you can justify lowering the cap rate and getting a bigger value on the back end. Or you see a trend that cap rates are coming down. Maybe interest rates are on the move. And cap rates and interest rates do not move in lockstep, but cap rates eventually will follow interest rates. Eventually, if the other conditions in the market are positive, sometimes cap rates will follow, factors that have to do with the location. Maybe it's a bad location. Things that maybe it's a bad overall market, bad city, whatnot. So anyway, be very careful in doing this, because exit values can be very influential on the on the financial projections, and just be mindful of that impact. But it is an imperfect practice on how to estimate future values, and experts can make mistakes. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks for watching this series. I hope it's been helpful to you. Thanks.